And I am the next bar child. Oh, goodness. Okay, man.
Mm.
Uh,
Actually, give me one moment here.
okay. Did you just see Wrist and Metal?
Mm-hmm.
And it's everywhere now.
Just so I can reference back to it. Whatnot. Sorry.
No problem.
All right. Good to go.
Okay. Avast me hearties and welcome once again to Full Stream Ahead. I'm your Captain Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me as always is me first mate and skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz, and welcome all of you to Full Stream Ahead. Tonight's episode, Poker Face, Season 1, Episode 4, Rest in Metal. Charlie goes on tour with has-been metal band Doxology, a motley crew of dejected rockers who spent decades trying to write a new hit. Charlie suspects foul play when one musician winds up dead. Our director this week is Tiffany Johnson. Our writers are, of course, Ryan Johnson. Gets the created by. Christine Boylan gets our written by. Wyatt Kane is the executive story editor. And hardest working person in show business this week, that's Charlie Peppers, story editor. Tiffany Johnson, I wonder if there's any relation to Ryan Johnson. I will say, one second, this.
There are a lot of Johnsons.
Yeah. I think it's GK Ome. Yeah. That's our bassist. I love this guy. I have seen him in so many things. None that I can remember, but I know he's just one of those guys. I see him and go, "Oh, hey, it's that guy."
He seems like he has that face about him that he would be like in a SWAT team or in a strike team as the guy with his hand on your shoulder with the gun, you know?
Yeah, he's something like that. But anyway, I just like seeing him. He made me smile when I saw him, and that's that's as far as that goes. But aside from that, it was really good. I love the character of Gavin. As
like you start off wanting to not like him because he's everything you're not supposed to like, right? But there's a certain pureness to him, a certain connection with just pure joy from life. And it seems like he has his problems that he's running away from too, but in that just pureness, there's a childlike thing that you can't help but adore him.
Yeah, and he's and I like it because he's well described as a magpie, and in the sense that he just picks things up and collects things, and everything he has, his little treasures, are just little bits and pieces he found along the road, and to him, it's just fun and beautiful and all these pieces. But they he never thinks that it's something more than that, and he's just here to have fun, because to him, you're in a bus all day just playing bars, rocking,
watching
for your livelihood. It's like, what am I missing here? How is this not the life?
Right.
It's interesting. There's a lot of interesting parts in this. One thing that I will say that I thought is very interesting, where again you get all these little hints about how Charlie's powers work, and she actually gets lied to this episode, and she doesn't realize it when the guy tells her, "I'm not an arc."
Right.
But she does say, "It's okay, I believe you."
Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking like if you say a bunch of statements in one breath, really quickly so that you hide the tell across multiple statements, then she has to wonder which one of those four statements that you just said is the lie that made you react that way.
Yeah, and we also see that when she says, we just got lucky. She knew they didn't just get lucky, but she didn't know what that meant.
Right, right.
It is fascinating. I do love how this story is progressing. And it's going fast. I did not even realize we were actually on episode 4.
Yeah.
Next one, Time of the Monkey. We're halfway through this series.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's good. We'll
Uh,
wrap this.
it was interesting when Cliff shows up. It's like most shows, you're itching to get to the big overarching narrative, and they keep feeding you little things, and like, yeah, but what about the thing that I really care about? This thing you sold me on in the beginning. But what's great about this, I found myself in that moment when Cliff shows up, is like, man, Cliff, get out of here. I don't care about you. I want to know more about this story. Like, get out of here, Cliff. Like, I didn't want to go back and revisit. Like, yeah, that's old news. There's fun stuff happening right here.
Yeah, but it's still good when he shows up, and it makes sense that he shows up.
Of course.
It makes
I
sense
love
that
that they
he's
give that knockback to the 4 hours. How long's it been since this went viral? 4 hours? Ah, nuts.
yeah.
And there he is.
Because that's how it goes.
Yeah.
And it is very interesting. It's very it's just very good the way the story is structured, the way that Natasha Lyonne just plays this really great character. And you know what? It's funny. I did not even realize this until like 4 episodes in that they're doing the Columbo fonts on the intro.
Oh.
Like I didn't even notice that the first few episodes, and then it's actually because it's actually one of the later ones that I was watching with what's his name? He was the ladies' man on SNL. I forget his name, but
Tim Meadows.
Tim Meadows, who's just phenomenal in it. It's just a great a storyline. And at first I thought, oh, that they're doing an homage to that because this is going to be like, oh, we're going to have the high profile guest stars and all this kind of stuff. But then I'm watching. So wait, no, they're still doing that. And I go back and I said, oh, they were always doing it. I just never noticed it until it got this really Columbo treatment. And I think that homage really gives it something, because it is meant to be this really great how catching story.
Right. It kind of reminds me of have you heard of this band that came out that sounds exactly like Led Zeppelin?
I will say no, but tell me about them.
Oh, so like they're this band that clearly takes an immense amount of inspiration from Led Zeppelin. Like if you listen to one of their songs, it literally sounds like you're listening to a Led Zeppelin song, like a modern version. I can't think of their name. What is a band that sounds like Led Zeppelin? Okay, you're Greta Van Fleet, right? But they leaned into it so hard, and it sounds so much like Led Zeppelin that people just gave them a pass. They're like, yeah, give me more of that.
Yeah.
Like, so instead of saying like, oh yeah, we're inspired, like, like Ice Ice Baby is not really, under pressure, right? They said, no, this is what we're doing. And they sort of crossed the barrier from being kitschy to being like, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Well, and if it's new content, because that is, I think, what winds up with this being kind of its big selling point is that, Gavin, and of course, so okay, so for the folks at home who haven't watched it yet but want to watch it, here's some background on the amazing band Doxology, which they were literal one-hit wonders, but it was a great hit called Staplehead, and Staplehead gets regular airplay. So it's on the radio all the time because it is one of those hits. It's just a hard driving heavy metal song that everyone loves.
And honestly, if they don't play that song, all these little bars and whatever that they go to would not have them come to play. They would not
Exactly.
have a living to make were it not for that song.
Exactly. But the song was written by their drummer,
Mm.
the Phil Collins of the group, who then went on and apparently didn't even write more songs after that. She had her one hit and she went to the suburbs and sells spandex, apparently, whatever that means. I don't know.
She's getting royalties from that song. It's pretty popular. And she realized, you know what, I'm not a great songwriter, you know, like I'm middling, I'm okay, but I got lucky with this one thing. Let me use it to express myself in other ways to the world. Right.
Yeah.
Whereas if that's how good she thought she was, these guys were way worse than her. Or you know,
Oh yeah.
drummer. So like they've just been not been able to make anything out of this incredible opportunity. Like everybody will pay for you to come there. If you were any good, you would have been able to write one song that would have, you know,
Yeah. At
rode
least
those
the B
coattails.
side, you know.
Yeah. But
You know, but that's the problem, of course, is that they can't because they're because as Charlie points out later, you're worse than has-beens. You're
yeah.
hacks.
Yes.
You know, it's not enough that you just can't play your music and live your life. Hard as the life of a rock star is,
Yeah.
but at least you're a rock star. You know.
Right. But like
You know.
you have nothing to say.
Yeah.
Like you have no message, no opinion, no thing you want to share with the world. You just want the fame. You have nothing to say. Whereas you look at a guy like Gavin, who also probably has nothing to say, but he loves the craft so much. He'll take things from here and there and he'll make you a song, even like just to be creating.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like it's what a shame that spark gets
Yeah,
put out.
I
But
know, and that's but you know that is, and it's neat also in this because this is another episode where it's not about getting and again because this is always that complaint about Columbo was you know Columbo catches them, but can he prove it? Will this stand up in court? And that's actually kind of something that um, Charlie acknowledges. But Charlie also realizes that, you know, I can't put you in jail for this.
Mm.
I can't do that because, but I can make sure that you're going to be wearing, I can't put you in an orange jumpsuit, but I'll make sure that you're wearing that orange schmuck from the Pillbox was the name of the hardware store she worked at for the rest of your life.
It reminded me of that scene from Inglorious Bastards where he's like, yeah, I can't kill you. Yeah, you're probably going to get to some tribunal and blah, 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 and be able to retire in Costa Rica or whatever. But I'm going to leave you with something that's going to let everybody know in an instant who you really are. And he carves that mark on his forehead. It's the same thing kind of that she does.
Yeah. Well, exactly. And it's actually 1,000 times worse because truth be told, that's the biggest problem for her is that she was a rock star and she was this and she could be this nostalgia act. She could continue touring as this nostalgia act and there's always someone that wants to go see them, you know, play live somewhere.
Right.
You know, and you know, if it pays for the bus and it pays for the van and it pays for health insurance, thank you Obamacare, then you know, maybe it all works out. But
right. If they could all find joy in things the way Gavin did, they would be living the life.
And that is the thing. And I do like how I mean, honestly, the way they kill Gavin is I think a little sloppy.
Quite.
But also, you know, I guess we can say about the cops in these small towns, thank goodness they're stupid, you know, because
right,
you know, they're like, oh, it looks like a freak accident.
Yeah.
Nothing more to see. Bad amp, bad thing, you know. Doesn't look into whether or not that was a good amp. Doesn't look into.
We have a quiet, nice town where crimes don't happen.
Yeah, well,
accidents, but no crime in my town.
Yes. Oh, what was that? That's the It's part of the Coronado trilogy with Simon Pegg and
yeah, it starts off Shaun of the Dead and
yeah, Shaun of the Dead. It's the one that follows that where Hot Fuzz, Hot Fuzz. You know, they go to the guy who's like the best
Right,
cop in
right,
London,
right. Yeah.
and he gets sent to this small town, and it's like, oh no, no crimes, you know.
Yeah.
But everyone keeps on dying.
Accident. Lots of accident-prone people in this town, man.
Yeah, and that's what it is, man.
Mm.
And it's sad because, like you say, he was so full of life. Though he was annoying, he was your typical fanboy, you know.
Yeah.
I got to imagine it was probably, you know, Jim Shooter is a well-hated former editor-in-chief at Marvel Comics.
Oh,
Yeah, well, no, but he was also a very passionate guy about comic books, and like he would, and you know, the biggest problem for a guy like Jim Shooter is that a lot of people who get into comics are very passionate, and when you become the person who says my headcanon is now the canon, it hits the people who's like, well, that's not my headcanon, sir.
yeah.
And the conflicts occur. We don't have that problem in music because in music it's just about performing, but in the performing, that's where we do hit this wall, and that's where we find our intrepid heroes. They make the decision to kill the guy. They switch out his amp with one that does not have a grounded plug.
Yeah.
Um,
And you know what the craziest part is? If they just had a conversation with him, he's like, look at this happened to us before. I think all four of us should have writing credits on this. He would have been so about it.
of course, you would have.
He would have been with it because like that song took him 5 seconds to make.
Yeah.
It was 5 rappers, comedy.
Well, yeah, but that's and that's the thing about it is that because it happened once before, and because they didn't actually fight for the right to say we all worked on this, we're all part of this,
Yeah.
we're all performing it live. It's all of us together that makes this a song. You know, because they didn't do that then, the one woman got all the credits, and maybe that woman didn't want to share we don't know her story. That's sort of one of those things.
But I can imagine a personality like Gavin. He would have been like, sure, yeah, whatever, to be a part of it. Am I one of the guys now? Come on, let's do this. We're a unit now. You know, he would have been perfectly fine giving that to have that.
Yeah, but they didn't want to do that, and they didn't feel it was right, and it would have been all for naught anyway, because of course,
right.
when it actually comes down to it, we find out that, oh no, that's actually just that's the song, that's Benson, you know.
Theme song to his favorite show.
It's a good show. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Benson's a fun show. I love Benson, and it does have a killer theme song. It's like da 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 da. But more to the point, I think, is just the idea that I think when we approach something like this, when we approach the telling of tales, it is so often about what is the breakdown of it. You know, how did this, and you see some great bits on the creative process. The fact that the guy does get all of these pieces from all these things he's walking, because he goes, oh wow, that's a good turn of phrase. Oh wow, I like how those words fit together. And he builds his little construction out of all of his found things. He builds his nest just like a magpie does by all the sweet and shiny things they find along the road. And that is beautiful in its own right, you know. I like that about it.
Yeah.
As it comes to fruition, you know, it becomes this case of Charlie trying to prove this. Goes to the guy that she is certain has to be a cop, even though he told her he's not a narc. And you know, it struck me that the reason why that worked on her is like, maybe he's just like, yeah, I'm not a narc, I'm a narcotics officer, kind of, you know, one of those,
right.
one of those little thin lines, like, oh no, I see what you're doing. It's like, but no, he's literally not a narc.
Yeah, how you interpret the lie could still lead you astray.
Exactly, which is what she said. She doesn't know the truth, She just knows when something's a lie or is not a lie.
You know what I would have appreciated? Like that she taught him some lingo or something that would have helped him buy drugs. And that in the end we see him use it and successfully buy drugs. That would have made me.
Well, the thing is that to buy drugs, he would actually have to not dress like a middle-aged insurance salesman.
Right, right. But even then, if you had the right words, I'm sure you would be able to procure.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think because that was John Hodgman, the great John Hodgman, Judge John Hodgman, the original PC himself. You know, which I love about that, just in the sense that I think that the I'm a Mac and I'm a PC actually sold way more PCs than Macs, because I think that a lot of people like they said, well, actually, I use my computer to do business stuff too.
Right.
You know, it's like yeah, you know, I think that it became a situation where the ad was fantastic, but actually wound up building up PC's brand more. Not that there is actually even a PC brand, but it's just this idea.
Right. It became like you were allowing them into your arena, letting everybody know that you consider this equal competition. So everybody's, oh, there is an option.
Well, and not only that, but I think that it highlighted what Microsoft, because that's the thing. It's really about AOS versus Microsoft as an operating system, because AOS you can only use on Apple. But Microsoft, they basically said, no, we're a software company. We make the software. You guys can put it on whatever hardware you want. It'll work on any computer you put it on. And there you go. And the problem was that because you could, they highlighted all the good things that Microsoft operating system, what the standard operating system could do, that suddenly it was like, well, wait, why am I paying this much for Apple just to be cool? You know?
Right.
Because that's the thing, is I think that most people who buy computers look way more like John Hodgman than whoever it was who played the Apple guy, and I forget his name, but he was a noted noted cool comedian of the day.
Right.
You know. Anyway, but yeah, but they do get it, and we see that, you know. And also, it's interesting in this because we also see how people she meets along the way help to connect the dots back. Because, like, she goes later and goes to Murder Girl, the noted podcaster on season 7, by the way, and that is impressive. You know,
you could tell she has a following. That means she's had like 7 cases that she has helped.
Exactly, or at least that she's investigated. She has merch, which is good. I mean, technically we have merch, but you know, we're clearly not as dedicated as Murder Girl is.
Right.
We see Murder Girl is renting studio space, using high quality equipment.
Right, and the urgency and consequences of what we do are, you know.
Yeah, well, it's just, I don't think there's any shame in saying we're not Murder Girl.
Right.
But
like, lives are at stake with what she's doing.
Yes, exactly. But you know, I like that, and I like just how the internet just comes in and saves the day.
You know what this? Yeah, sorry, I'm just thinking of the parallel between this episode and the last one. How much Gavin is like that supposedly racist dog who jumps into her car and is yapping, and eventually she falls in love with him, you know?
Well, yeah.
With him, he's like a little yapper, and then she takes him under her wing like a little brother.
No, because he's a wounded bird. Actually, you know what I found? It's funny when it happens, and she's like, "You're completely self-taught, aren't you?" It's like, "No, I went to Juilliard," you know? Which is, you know, a big deal, but also kind of not that. I mean, it's great to be an artist who goes to Juilliard, who can be just an amazing drummer, but at the same time, you know, if all you want to do is wander the earth like, you know, Cain in your bare feet.
I also felt like he was running from things because, like, when he asks her when he's when they're in the car, so what do you live out of your car? And she's like, yeah, wolves at the gate.
Yeah,
And he
wolves on
goes,
my
oh,
fenders.
wolves on my bumpers. And he goes, oh, wolves. And it like it was, and then he asks her, you think you'll be doing this for the rest of your life? Because like that's something he thinks about often. And
Hmm.
then when he said he went to Juilliard, it implies so much distance between what we thought his background was and what it really is, that there's so much room to fill with like what is he running away from. uh,
Hmm.
so I thought that was like a really interesting little bit that made us think about all the wild possibilities of what he's, did he have a good family? Obviously he must have had like a rich upbringing, or he must have been like a savant or something. If he
Yeah,
ended up at Juilliard, what are the things that happened that led him to not wear shoes anymore and just be a drifter? um
exactly. And there's also an interesting side aspect to this, which is literally how low the bar is for most bands to get a drummer, because it is literally, do you have a kit? And usually it's, do you have a kit and a van? Because
mm.
if you have the van, if you have a van and a kit, you are in the band.
Right.
You can keep the beat. You have the band. You have the van and the band.
Yeah.
That we can use you. And where they're like, why do you need an amp? He says, oh, because I run my thing through there, and it's such a, and it shows how this guy is really thinking musically,
Yeah.
because he knows all these pieces fit together to build something, but
Right.
exactly what he's building he doesn't know yet.
Yeah.
And it's sweet and beautiful in that way. But again, cut down so soon.
I
Um,
find it interesting how quickly she was able to talk to the two of them into murder.
yeah.
Like how subservient they are and how like maybe they're afraid of her or something. Like, man, oh, like if she's thinking about killing this, if she might just kill one of us if we say no.
Well, to be fair, that's a real. Remember, she's the front
Concern.
woman.
Yeah.
She's the face of doxology. She's Ruby Ruins.
Hmm.
She is who people know in that. Because as an example, no one knows who that drummer was
Right.
who wrote the song. They
Right.
just know that Ruby Ruins does the scream.
Right.
You know, they know what it is because of her. And if she switched out her bassist again, one of those people that
Right.
bands all the time just say, if you're a bassist, you've got a job. Bass usually they have a slightly higher bar because bassists usually don't have a band. But again, bassist with a band, you've got a gig for life.
You got two fingers. You're good to
Yeah.
go.
Well, you need it. You do. There's four strings. You do need at
Well,
least
at
like,
least on your picking hand, if you got these two fingers, you're good to go.
yeah, yeah.
You know.
Um, but yeah, that's band life, man. And and that's why the front person is always the big thing. Oh, by the way, speaking of which, man, I don't know if you've watched Muppets Mayhem,
No.
but there is like a bunch of good stuff there about the band conflicts
Uh,
within it, and about why exactly are we Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. You know, it's like we don't have a front man. It's like, but the band's name is literally Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. It's like, oh, I know, but you know, that's the gag of it.
Well, that's an interesting way to deal with conflict, not have a real leader, but a fictitious character that
Yeah,
is the mission statement of the band that can always be pure because that thing will never have an ego, you know?
yeah. Except they tried that with Hootie and the Blowfish,
Oh,
and
well,
then everyone just thought that
who's Hootie?
it was, yeah.
I'm not Hootie. There is no blowfish.
Yeah, but it's one of it's great when you do that, when you have that fictional front man, but then whoever the actual front man is, and I'm trying to remember who the front man was. Does a lot of country music now. I'm blanking on his name. It'll come back to me later.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, everyone just called him Hootie, and he kind of started to get very bothered by that because that wasn't how he defined himself. He didn't want to be Hootie. He would much rather have been the Blowfish.
Yeah.
It's Blowfish and Garfunkel. That's the band he wanted to be a part of.
Right.
Oh, no one's ever done that one. But
No, I can't.
yeah, but
remember
it's, I mean, it's neat, and I just love how, they're in there, they're about to sign with the record deal, and they're going to go on tour again with their new hit song, and then
Sorry, go
yeah, but then the guy comes in and he's like, we're in trouble. He just like takes the contract away from them, like, no, no, because it immediately hit the internet, and I love the fact that the music YouTubers are like, hey, big shout out to some of our older fans who helped us place this, you know. And I bet you again that was probably Charlie again, because she would have had the
yeah,
ear for it.
yeah,
She
yeah,
would have heard, oh man, I know where he got that riff. I know where that's from.
yeah,
That's Benson, which the guy is always watching.
yeah.
It's beautiful. It was just beautiful.
Like that moment when the guitar player is writing a new song, how we brought a lamb to slaughter, electrocuted a drummer. And she's like, come on, guy, give me a little bit of a challenge. What are you doing? I love that was the look on her face, like, really? Is it gonna be this easy? Come on, man. Like, get it together.
Well, but that's the thing, is these guys had really guilty consciences.
Right. And I love that
You
she
know?
walks in there. She's like, come on, do you know what your guy is doing? He's giving the game away. Come on. I thought we were gonna have like a fun, don't make it look like you're supposed to go down in the third round, make it look good. I found that hilarious. But the funny part is that song sounded pretty good.
Oh, it was a great song.
Also, the song he wrote in the beginning about his divorce, like for what it's worth, it was coming from an honest place. And
Yeah.
and I promise you, if she ever would let them and said she want merch girl,
Yeah.
that's the song she wants to take in front of people, not the honest stuff that the guy's writing.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you there's more stuff that he would have wrote that they could have used to mean something, but
Yeah.
her ego wouldn't let it happen.
Well, exactly, because she had to be in control.
Mm.
And of course, that's really what gives it all away, is when she realized she's not wearing her killer studded pumps.
Yeah.
She's wearing Doc Martens.
Yeah.
And, and actually also loved again by the great GK Umeth, where he says, man, I broke my vegan code to buy these for you guys. Which he shouldn't have to do, because you know what? Rubber is vegan. So he could have just gotten them rubber soled shoes and they would have been fine. It wouldn't have looked as cool.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have looked as cool.
Yeah.
And that is what the soles are made out of, is rubber, but because it's the leather boots of the Doc Martens, But I guess they didn't want to look like they were wearing vegan leather, which is plastic.
Very metal.
Yeah, not very metal. Anyway, any final thoughts on tonight's episode, Mozzie?
I really, really enjoyed the hell out of this episode. It was one of the best openings they've had. These characters were just absolutely wonderful.
Yes, and just the worst human beings.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the best parts about these kind of things, is you realize how awful people can be. Because that's the thing, is like when people make that decision, they're going to go and murder someone. Yeah. There's a lot that goes into that. There's a lot of that person making that decision to say, you know what? I guess it's time to murder people. And we're going to see a lot more awful people as we go.
I wonder if like what it comes down to is like, okay, I've had enough of this world. It's either I'm going to kill myself or I'm going to kill somebody else to fix my pain. I think that's where that pivot point becomes easy for some people.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's sad in its own way. And what I also think is that you're also going to see a lot more of people who are very charismatic, who are also, again, just murderers. We're going to see that very much next episode, The Time of the Monkey. Yes. But until then, folks, do you like merch? Would you like to be our merch girl? Well, if you'd like to, I'm going to do this in a different order. You can go down to our website, Linktree, linktr.ee/CapesandLunatics, where you can buy merch for our show, for the Capes and Lunatics show. Find links to all of our broadcasts. If you like any of them, hey, why don't you give us a call? Tell us what you really think at 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And leave us a message, and we will play it on the air if you want us to. Likewise, write us a letter, write any of our shows a letter at CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. That's Capes and Lunatics, all spelled out, at gmail.com. And if people would like to reach out to you, Mozz, tell you what they think.
Oh, they can email me at mozzmanzor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way where mothers and fathers once did at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And follow me on the Twitter while it exists, while I can, and I find things to tweet about, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsscr. Look for the two E's in the middle.
For quality. Bing.
Thank you, Mozz. All right, me hearties, you've come to the end of another exciting adventure. Come again next week when we once again sail full stream ahead.
All right.